Peace and love, reflections, peace and love. Alright, I gotta talk about this real quick. I'm just doing a little drive right now. I'm building out a patio for someone. I can do stonework, I can do all that kind of stuff. I'm good with the hands, man. But I had a quick little download I wanted to talk to you guys about today. It has to do with, it's not men or women's job individually. I was listening to a radio spot, right? And Jasmine Sullivan was talking about, it's women's job to get together and to create this society, or to create the standards for men so that men level their game up. If women were able to sit down and say, we don't want men with baggy pants, we don't want men with all this, that men would be able to step up and all these different things. I think that's garbage. I think all this stuff, all these different things, putting so much pressure on either men or women to create this change is just wrong. It's doing disjustice to people in general. The way I see it, and the way it should be perceived, is that everyone just has to do the best within themselves. If we all held ourselves to a higher standard of anything, of life, of understanding, of knowledge of self, then we wouldn't need an outward representation of that. And I think that's where we find these problems. We find these problems in society where you have either men or women thinking they need to be the speaker of the house. No one needs to be the speaker of the house. Just each individual in the house needs to know what their worth is and know how to be utilized and how to utilize their gifts and probably in the best way and most efficient way. So I just want to break this spell, because even within like the conscious communities and all these woke beings and stuff like that, it always comes down to this point where there's like men trying to say men's job is the overall encompassing or women's job is the overall encompassing. It's not. Neither one is true. Like, neither one is a proper ideology or notion that's going to sustain justice. Like, we're talking about just societies and we're talking about people being equal, but if there's always a caveat to the equality, then we're never going to reach equality. If there's always one person's job to do something more than another particular gender, race, anything like this, then we're not really having justice. Justice only comes when everyone is equally expressed. And like, that's what we're trying, like everyone's trying to then put in the caveat, because we're thinking like capitalists. We gotta stop thinking like capitalists. And we gotta just start thinking like humanists. We gotta start thinking like humans, right? We gotta think that we all are in this literally together, sharing this burden. But if we always trying to create a caveat to make one more important than the other and one stand out anymore, like, we're just gonna create another system of injustice. Like, we're gonna create another imbalance. And then we're gonna have this whole thing over and over and over again. So be mindful. We talk about paradoxes, we talk about all these different things, and that's when you get stuck in a paradox. When we put too much pressure on the woman, we put too much pressure on the man. When you do any of that, you're creating a paradox now. Now you're creating ways that someone can now capitalize on understandings. Everyone needs to just be completely empowered in knowledge of self, in the ability to be able to sustain themselves, and to be able to have the ability to do things that suit them and make them happy. Now within that, every person will then realize that they can't do everything on their own. And that's when you find the beauty in other beings. That's when you find the beauty in another person. When you understand that you have so much that you can do, you have so much power, there's so much that is in your realm of possibility. However, even within all of that magnitude of things you can do, there's still things that you need another person for. That is where we find the justice and beauty and equality, not in just thinking that it's one person's job. It's not females' jobs to make sure men are like empowered, have knowledge of self and all that. Just like it's not a man's job to help a woman have knowledge of self, all these different things. It's their job individually. So it's each individual's job to create this, and then it's for once it's created to now be able to appreciate that knowledge in the other being. Because if a female has knowledge of self or a male has knowledge of self, they're only going to look for other beings that share that knowledge of self. Simply put. It's really not that tricky. So when we keep coming up with all these different notions where men need to now take over or women need to take over and be this empowering force for the other gender, it's an agenda. It forms now a ripple. We can't have that kind of stuff. Each being, each group of people, each gender, all these things need to empower themselves first within their own notions, within their own truths and realities. Then once they're empowered within their own reality, now we create a sustainable, just society. Now no one's going to be capitalized on. No one's going to need anything else but themselves to empower themselves. And that's the key to empowering, right? Empowering is empowering. Like, it comes from within. So like, you have to empower yourself first. No other being can empower you, right? Now you're dependent. And that's why religion got the way it got, because everyone was dependent on an outside external source to do things for them internally and change their reality. We can't do that. So the only way to stop doing that is for everyone to take responsibility for their own things, take responsibility for their own empowerment, take responsibility for their own knowledge of self, take responsibility for these things, right? Jasmine Sullivan had a great start on the radio. She was her idea was good. The notion was good. The notion that women now raising their standards would start to like make men change the way they act. But if you're a man and you're only acting and doing the things you do to attract a female, then you're already flawed in knowledge of self then. You're already flawed in knowledge of self then. If all you're doing things for is to attract another female or attract another reflection, you're messing up. You have to do it for self. And once you do it for self and empower self, then it just radiates. That truth reverberates. And that's where we need to start to exist in. And once we do that, you'll see the change that people are looking for. Right now, we're not seeing that change because we're all looking for external representations of things that we should be looking to do internally. But anyway, I gotta get back to building this patio. I love you all. Peace, peace, peace. This is amazing. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Today I'm having a beautiful day today. I get to spend it outside. I'm building a nice patio out for someone. It's beautiful stuff. But I hope you guys are having a beautiful day too. Hope you guys are being today. Figure out some way to be. How are you being? Right? But I love you all. I love myself. Have a beautiful day.